Welcome to WP Coffee Talk. Thank you to our sponsor, Helix Managed WordPress Hosting, for both their sponsorship and hosting our site, WPCoffeeTalk.com. Now on to our episode. Welcome to the next episode of WP Coffee Talk. And I get excited, and I say this probably every time, to talk to different people in the WordPress community, some of which I have been following for a long time, even though it's the first time that I actually get to chat with them. And today I am actually chatting with David Bisset. And David, it's nice to have you here today. Thank you for joining me.
You're so welcome. You're a good liar, but yes, I'm honestly, I'm here. I'm very happy to talk to you as well. I've locked my kids in the other room, so we should be good for at least an hour.
Okay, sounds good. I have to tell you before we go any further that
this never ends well.
The first time I showed up in one of your tweets about, hey, armchair WordCampers, this weekend coming from WordCamp wherever, and then you like put me in your tweet, I was like, oh, I've arrived.
Yes, that is. It's not official until I can find your Twitter handle in some WordCamp website, which now is becoming just slightly more easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife's still jealous that she's not in there, and I have to explain to her. She's anyway. You'll be seeing her in the next week's tweet. So, but
there you go.
Good to know somebody reads the tweets.
I do, and I get all excited about them too. And I'll tell you, if I'm at a WordCamp and I wasn't in your weekend tweet, I was like, oh, well, I guess other people deserve a turn too.
Great. I'm going to be getting angry emails now. Thank you.
It's a lot of fun, though. It's a lot of fun. And I love that you do that you promote the whole WordPress community and make sure that people are seeing what's going on and that kind of thing. So it's very cool. Very cool.
Thank you. It's my desperate attempt at attention.
Well, it works. It works. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Oh boy. I've been with WordPress for, I don't know, the years are turning to decades now, but I've been with it probably for 12 or 13 years. I freelanced a long time, used WordPress until recently. I joined Automotive, and then I moved over to a company called Envira Gallery. I'm one of the senior developers over there, and I work on an Envira Gallery plugin and some other projects as well. I do BuddyPress work on the side. I've been a big BuddyPress developer, if anybody's familiar with that plugin. I'm also helped, I believe, I think it was 2008, me along with John Jacoby and a few other people, Fatah Dunbar and others, were the founding members of WordCamp Miami. So that has been around for 11 years, and I've been involved in that in some way, shape, or form. Past 2 years of lead the organizing in that, and we're handing it over to new management, with me still being around. So I'm still involved with that. I help run a local WordPress meetup. I enjoy long walks on the beach. Actually, technically, it's walking into the ocean because that's pretty much how I want to end things sometimes. But I come back. But yeah, I do a lot more community. A lot of the stuff that you see is probably more community focused than developer focused. I do a lot of development, but it's usually not as prominent facing as the other stuff. And just like you, I love talking to people, especially when it's not my family. I mean, I love talking to people, and then I think seriously though, I think it is, the WordPress community is pretty nice, and love to be able to be helpful in any way, even if that means just shutting up like I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. I love it. Show me your mug. So I know you just drank out of some other cup, but show me the mug you brought to show me today.
Well, this is my good mug. This is my special.
Okay. Let me see.
My special mug. When I get a win, that's my mug right there. And
does it play music?
No, I did not get the deluxe version. You can't please anybody these days.
Well, no, I'm just like, I'm hearing it in my head.
Does it have an app? No, nothing comes out of it. It is, but it is just a Mario a Mario themed mug. Actually, somebody at a retreat gave it to me, and I appreciated it. I actually, if I had the physical ability to turn a giant iMac 180 degrees behind this computer, there is a wall of shot glasses, a wall of WordCamp mugs. You
That's
know,
awesome.
like, and like you think I'd be a serial killer for drinking painters, because I have a wall of everything. I'll have to share that picture. But that's my mug.
Very nice.
Yes, and just for you,
Yes.
taking this mug of this cup of establishment I will not mention. And there we go.
And are you drinking coffee? There you go.
I'm now using the mug. You know, probably should have dusted it out first, but other than that, it's good coffee.
Okay. Well, right before you, I was interviewing Angela Jin, who's also in the WordCamp US team with us, and I used a brand new mug. Well, I shouldn't say it's a brand new mug. It's the first time I've ever used it, and I've had it for 35 years, so it's not a new mug. But
well, we call that mint condition.
That's right. That's right. It was. It might even be vintage at this point.
Oh, wow! I'm 42. What are you going to call me?
Well, I've got about 9 years on you, but so this was the mug I showed her, which is a wooden mug from a trip I took to the Dominican Republic when I was in my teens. And then I'm also.
I like it.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, that looks nice.
Thank you. It's fun. And then I have another mug. I actually have a beer mug I'm going to be drinking from to show you. When I graduated,
it's escalating.
When I graduated from my MBA program, I got this mug from the Simon School at the University of Rochester. And full
That's
disclosure,
a drinking mug.
that is not iced tea. That is not beer. That is not apple juice.
Urine, is it?
No, it's not urine.
Okay. I thought we were going in one direction here.
It's honey bourbon.
Okay.
So this might be the second.
Jealous.
This is the second hour I'm drinking honey bourbon. So I also have water in my WordCamp Montreal. Ooh.
Good Lord. It's like, wow, if you pull out another drinking apparatus, I'm going to be.
I got that one last weekend. Okay. that was this really great mugs last week from WordCamp Montreal.
Scored the trifecta +1.
Telling you, and there's more, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dirty mugs on my desk.
Oh, that was my band name in college. Yeah.
5 dirty mugs on my desk. Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm moving into the questions, or we're going to be here all afternoon. Well, maybe you prefer that to spending time with your children. I don't know, but
I'm being recorded, right?
You are. So.
I do need to get back to my kids. And my wife. I love them all very much. But yes, let's get to the questions.
Let's get to the questions. How did you get started with WordPress?
I was freelancing. It was back 12 or 13 years ago, and there were not, the landscape back then was like, if you built anything remarkably good in PHP, it was considered a win. Nothing wrong with PHP. It was just, everybody was just building things. I was doing client sites and just needed, I actually built my own lousy CMS with PHP. I tried CodeIgniter. I tried Drupal briefly, PHP Nuke, and some ancient things that don't exist anymore. I briefly even considered movable type, but that was pretty much impossible. So I just stumbled on WordPress. I forget exactly how. I think I was just basically doing research in Google and stumbled on it. It was such easy to use and easy to the ease of use and the easy to learn things were pretty up there. So the ease of use, the ease of learning. If I say that 3 times, I can scratch it off my list. I can no longer say those things. But I pretty much fell in love with it. It was pretty much like the only reasonable solution for me at the time if I wanted to continue to use something with a decent admin system. And I came into the WordPress scene, I think, right around, it was 1.5-ish. So I think that's when like WordPress themes were like a new concept there. I think that's 1.5. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's how I basically got into WordPress, and I was quiet I was pretty much the only one using it for a number of years until I decided to break through the community, and the rest, as they say, is history.
That's true. That's right. I actually hear quite a few people use the phrase stumbled upon. Many of us stumble upon
Well,
WordPress.
yeah, I don't walk very well, so very
Right.
often I stumble on many things.
There you go. What's something that you think people don't focus enough attention on when building a site that would make their site stronger or better?
Um, I think the content, really. I think a lot of people are still focused on, a lot of everyday people, maybe. I'm not sure if you're a designer, maybe, exception to the rule, but I think overall when people are coming to get a website, I think the content or the purpose of the site at all. I mean, just, not every site is content is number one. I mean, there is the content team thing, but I think some people are very the overall content is like, is there too many ads? Is it not written well enough? You can tell if content is being optimized, for clicks, or like, let's take this content and spread it over 10 pages, or make like this person scroll to get ad revenue. And maybe people are thinking of that, just not enough, or not thinking of the user's experience with that content. But I think a lot of people just think a flashy design. I think we're still in an age where people think a flashy design and putting enough content so that they can rank high in Google. So it's probably better accurate to say people are thinking of content. They're just probably not thinking of it in the right way, or they're thinking of it in a very narrow-minded, I had somebody the other day that said, I don't really care what my site says, I just want to be ranked on this organically in Google or something like that. And,
yeah, good luck with that, buddy, right?
I said, wow, that's great. Now, could I please have my hamburger order? This is a Wendy's. But generally speaking, yes, I think people need to broaden their view and, balance what is good for their search engine optimization versus what's good for the user, their experience, and all of that. I think, and also just, the content that just loads, like how fast their site loads or how their experience is for mobile users. Some people just throw a lot of content at something and just, they don't care how fast the site loads.
Yeah. Something will stick to the wall.
Yeah, usually it's not my patience. So.
I hear you there. What's something that you wish you had known earlier in your WordPress career that you've learned since that might have made life a little bit easier? That's somebody who started at 1.5. There's not a whole lot earlier. You could have learned something, but
I just, I mean, when you start at 1.5, you really didn't realize. I mean, when you say I started WordPress with this version, that I don't think nobody realized really how far WordPress would go or how long it would go. You're just using some other app. But something that I wished I knew about WordPress when I started, probably the WordPress economy. Like, I just took WordPress. I knew WordPress is flexible, but it really, if I could go back in time, I think I would probably tell myself, people need lots of different solutions. WordPress is, the stuff that you're building now for WordPress, other people are willing to pay money for or use for these particular types of plugins or themes or something along those lines. So maybe it's more of the WordPress ecosystem that I really didn't realize until very, very, very much later when I was using WordPress. So I really wish. So let's see if I can translate that. I don't know if even that's translating well, but if I was starting to learn WordPress when I did back then, I should have known back then how much of a potential ecosystem it had the potential to become, because that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
And I focused a lot on building sites for freelancing and everything like that. I was solving problems. I made plugins, but I mean, never realized until very much later how overall the community and the ecosystem became.
That's pretty cool. You're the first person in 52 interviews to say that. And I think it's very insightful.
Oh, well, I'm sure I'm the first. If I wasn't the first for just saying all those other things I said previously up until
Oh,
now?
perhaps.
Oh, all right.
You
Well, there
you
goes me.
stumbled into other stuff, so
Okay, well, my therapist says I'm unique, so yeah.
it's just like everybody else. What are some of your favorite WordCamp, Meetup talks, etc.? If you think of back over all the different opportunities you've had to be in, WordCamps, Meetups, etc., what's a moment or two that would be like a pivotal moment for you, or I like to say like that's when the angels sang.
That angel sing at WordCamp, it's probably, I'm thinking who died. Uh,
Yeah, because WordCamp karaoke is not like angels singing, actually.
well, I don't, maybe in a certain choir, maybe if you could bring that in. I can't, well, I'm hesitant to say that because I spent a lot at WordCamp Miami, and I feel a little like as an organizer on some level, it's kind of hard for me to call out someone at WordCamp Miami. I think that would be a little unfair because I'm involved in at various times throughout WordCamp Miami's history, the business track and learn JavaScript deeply track. You know what? I think it would make this easier maybe if I don't say a particular talk, but maybe some of the aspects of WordCamps that contain the talk. Like I just said, the business track at WordCamp Miami, I thought was not that we were the first, but it has greatly helped a lot of business owners in the WordPress space. We even know people that started some companies thanks to business track. The Learn JavaScript track is soon, maybe Matt Mullenweg's State of the Word, I think it's 2015, where he said Learn JavaScript deeply. That started like 3 months after that, we had our first JavaScript deeply dedicated track at WordCamp Miami as well. There's been plenty of talks in the WordCamps I've been at, Orlando and Tampa and St. Louis, because that's the one I'm going to, Philadelphia, and all the other camps I've been to as well. There is probably if I had to pick one, I would probably say one of the Gutenberg talks. Morton gave one, I think 2 years ago, and someone gave one last year, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I'll come to think of it. But I think there's a lot of cool things that people are doing from a structural standpoint, like I said, those tracks before, and we'll get to the community track in a second, that I think these, we're addressing all these other non-developer, non-WordPress things that are now, our community has gotten to a point where we need to talk about mental health. We need to talk about taking care of ourselves physically and mentally, how we should be properly communicating with other people, and diversity and all that other thing. So any talks on those subjects, I think is worth hearing as part of my favorites.
It's funny that you say that because by the time this airs, this will be public knowledge, but I was just asked to give my third a keynote for a WordCamp this year. And
three's a charm.
Right? I think Beetlejuice is supposed to show up behind me or something when I say the third one. But
one of my kids might come in here.
There you go. But the topic is the care and feeding of the WordPress community. That's a good little dust. The care and feeding the WordPress community, me, you, and us. And it's a talk about how we keep ourselves healthy, how we help keep each other accountable for our mental health and our physical health, and then how once we are healthy, we can have a healthy community as well. So that's kind of what my talk's about. So pivoting from that, let's talk a little bit about WordCamp US, because you and I are both on the organizing team for WordCamp US 2019.
It's somebody has a lot of blackmail material on me, so here I am.
And me, it was just like, sure, yes, I want to do anything anybody ever asked me to do. I'm on the PR comms team, and
don't worry,
you are.
We'll get to you too. But that programming team, I'm on the programming team. Yes.
Yes, you are. And talk a little bit about the exciting things that are happening this year.
Oh, exciting! Oh,
it's all exciting, David.
Oh yes, that's right. It's all exciting. Yes, I'm trying to remember the script. It's all exciting. It's all so fresh and brand new. It's like it's the conference equivalent of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies.
There you
in the
go.
morning. And God, I'm hungry. But let's see, how many WordCamp USs have we had? We had Philly and we had
Yep.
Nashville. So that's 4 right there, right? So
Right.
we're on
Yep.
number 5 right now, right?
Yes.
Appropriately middle finger. 5, 5th on St. Louis. So 5th is the first one going to be in St. Louis. I don't remember the past 4 ever really branching out from like 2 or 3 tracks. But this year is like so totally different than the last 4. There is an addition of there's a workshop track. There is a community track, and there's also a kids camp.
Yeah.
Then there's other things too, but those 3 things alone added to the schedule, which was just made public yesterday, the day before.
Yep.
That alone is just really exciting to see, because it shows that, the WordCamp US as an entity, regardless of the different people that are involved every year, is willing to branch out and try new things and try to cover subjects like that probably should get more than 15 or 45 minutes of a mention on a Saturday afternoon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy to see it. It shows that I think there's probably, this is the first year, so there's probably going to be some experimentation. I mean, there's probably, as a WordCamp organizer myself over a decade, I can tell you that, it's easy to look back and think of what went right. It's even easier to look back and figure out what went wrong too. But I mean, I can tell that this is the first step to creating even a more robust schedule for WordCamp US moving forward. And I'm very excited to see that effort. It's a good sign, really, that, it doesn't have to follow the same model every year.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
that's why I'm excited about it.
What is a community track?
It's a track about community. I think your questions should be a little more tougher, but okay. I get what? Oh, you want details.
I might want details. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you later. So the community track is meant to take 4 aspects of the community and more or less kind of break them off into equal pieces, or close to equal pieces. So meetups and small events, WordCamps, some diversity, and then kids and youth. Those 4 things was something that we wanted to touch upon at some point. And the community track is not just going to be a series of talks, because because of the word community is in there. It is meant to be more interactive with the physical audience there than there would be for a typical talk and a typical track. So, for example, there is a workshop. Not all of them are workshops. There are various different formats, but there is a workshop first thing Friday, as of the time of this recording. There is a workshop on how to get your WordPress meetup bigger, better, and bolder. Basically, like how making sure the content is fresh, the format, marketing, sponsors. So if you have a WordPress meetup, or even if you're just starting one or just thinking about starting one, then you have an entire morning, I believe, to communicate with multiple people, able to sit down, write your own action plan. So it's not just, they're not just talks, but they are very interactive. And that's not something that's not something you get in the other rooms, especially in the past. You sit down, you hear a talk, you write notes, you watch some idiot try to live tweet it all, and then watch that same idiot at last WordCamp US get banned by Twitter. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. So it is a very interactive track, and so not to say that it's going to be all workshops. There's going to be Q&A and panels and all this sort of thing. And I'm especially excited that for the first time at a WordCamp US, or maybe even a large WordCamp period, we're going to have a lot of the youth representatives as well on stage. So that's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned this is the first year WordCamp US will have a kids camp.
Yes, I I'm not running it because there are sane people that have prevailed there. But I can tell you that from Sandy Edwards is part of the team, and just by speaking to her alone, I can just tell they put a lot of time and effort into it. So I can't wait to see that. But again, this is this is a stepping stone, and like all the other WordCamps have had this, and it just makes sense for WordCamp US to explore this as well. And I think it's going to be great for some of those kids to experience that in such a like a centralized big event that WordCamp US is.
And the kids camp happens on Sunday at the same time that the contributor day. Is that correct?
Yes, unless they change something on me.
Not yet. They haven't anyway. So that's exciting. And yes,
there's a copyright. All right. Well, sorry.
I was hoping there was a QR code on the bottom that when you like scanned it, it would start playing the Mario music. Now that would have been a really good.
There's no app, Michelle. There's no app. It is a mug.
Just saying, it could take you to like a YouTube video of the music. Anyway, I see, now you got me derailed. I've been working with Sandy a little bit on writing out some of the things and drafting some of the content for the WordCamp US website on things like Kids Camp and on childcare. And childcare is the first time we've had childcare, and that's under programming as well, to be able to have free childcare through WordCamp so that families with small children can attend camp as well.
Yeah, it's just drop them off and just come back at 5 maybe to pick them up and you're good. No. That's it.
Maybe really, pick them up.
Yeah, hey, honey, I brought home something. Is it swag? Not really. But it is exciting, and it also, there's a lot of logistics to cover there too. Mm-hmm. So it is very awesome to see that the child care, everything is being meticulously checked and double checked and organized. So and which should be, because you're dealing with the youth. And I'm really hoping they have the opportunity to also come prior to Sunday, and Saturday morning, especially because that's when the kids section of the community track is. But I'm hoping that, and it will, that we make these all WordCamps such family friendly. And we've seen a larger camps. We've seen WordCamp Atlanta, WordCamp Miami, and various other camps now throughout the years. More people are bringing their kids, which is great. It means they're comfortable. We're making our events even more accessible, because nobody says, at least when you make it friendly, maybe not every camp can provide the daycare or the child care or anything like that, but at least you're making it family friendly. You're open. You're providing a safe environment as possible. People can bring their young ones, and that is that might end up being the future of WordPress right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
No pressure, Sandy.
One of the exciting things I was talking to Sandy about is that the kids camp is not just a camp for kids. It's a camp for other organizers who want to learn how to implement kids camp at their city camps as well.
Oh, you're a kid at heart, that's
of course. So if you are an organizer or interested in organizing WordCamp in your own city, so for example, this is the 4th year Rochester will have a WordCamp, and you are attending Sunday's event, you can attend the kids camp and learn how to organize kids camp as well. There's going to be some talks.
Yeah, that's so important, because it's hard to, and we get into this subject on the community track when it comes to a contributor day, because many people are like, wow, a contributor day, but I'm not a developer, or I'm not a contributor, and it seems daunting, and no, it's like, no way. Some people are like that with kids camp. It's like, wow, I would love to be able to run an event like a kids camp and an event with an event in WordPress, but like some people want to run it and they don't have kids, maybe, or they're like, man, kids is like, some kids is, keep me away from kids. I don't want the liability or the stress or the hassle. I said that, and I was too late. I got 3 of them locked in the room behind me. But some people do have that kind of like, that stops them, and they need to be able to see firsthand how some of these things are handled. Videos and blog posts don't do it justice. That's what I did when WordCamp Miami did their kids camp. I think I forgot how many years we've had. It seems like maybe 5 years. Maybe we've gone back. We've done it now for 5 years. But I had to go to WordCamp Phoenix, which is where I think the first one was.
Okay.
And back way 6, 7 years ago, and like I felt creepy because like here I'm standing in the back of a room with all these other kids. So it's just somebody says, "Oh, sir, is your child here?" And I go, "No,
I'm just watching.
I'm just watching." Fortunately, you know,
I brought the candy.
I got a white van out in back too. But now that there's no, I mean, but now that's encouraged. Now, you know, these people need to see how these camps are run because again, it all ties into this is potentially the next generation of WordPress developers, users, whoever. And in order, if you don't have a good environment and a good experience at these events, they're not going to come back or they're not going to get the right information out of it. So it's a daunting task. And, you know, all the people that are involved in the kids camps, organizing them, running them deserve a lot of credit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, programming, you guys do so much of the like plan. I mean, I get to tweet about it. You get to actually figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, let's switch next year, by the way. That sounds good.
Not a chance. But I'm excited about WordFest. And
yes, that sounds
what used to be
I'm
the
still
after party.
getting used to saying it. Because what was it, Michelle? I'm sorry I interrupted.
It was the after party.
It was called the after party.
But it wasn't after.
I don't know if it was after something. But yes, and when is it this year? Remind me.
Friday night.
Friday night, right. So inappropriate, you know, not exactly accurate to call it the after party when you have to wake up for day 2 of the conference on Saturday, right?
The during party didn't roll off the tongue.
No, we'll call it the, you know, the halftime show was already taken.
That's right. That's right.
What did you, I don't know many details about that. Do you have anything to share?
For the after, not the non-after party?
The WordFest, Michelle.
The WordFest. Do you know who named it?
I do not.
Me, and yet I keep forgetting calling it that.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up, but now that you have.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. So WordFest happens on.
I'm still getting used to saying it.
I know.
It catches on. But anyway, go on. When is it? Since you named it, you must know all the answers.
I know lots of them. I know there will be good food. There will be lots of opportunity for networking. It's kid appropriate, so there's lots of fun things to do. It will be at the, I can't remember what it's called, but something museum in St. Louis.
How many museums could there be, really?
There's like 5 at least. Yeah.
Oh, well. 1 in 5 shot then. Yeah, that's better. That's better odds than I usually get.
There is a multi-level slide. You can slide down from the top, and I've heard everything from 3 floors to 10 floors. So I don't really know how many floors this slide is, but it's a long slide. So you can slide down from the top of the building all the way to the first floor. There's like a merry-go-round or a Ferris wheel or something on the roof. I mean, there's all kinds of exciting things that happen at this thing.
Sure this isn't like, you know, Wonka's playground? It sounds, this is a museum?
It is a museum.
Museums have changed. Yeah, back in my day.
It's a very interactive, very engaging museum with lots of opportunity for us to, if you want a quiet space, you can go sit where the food is and chat with people there. If you want to, you know, let loose, you can do anything.
Instead of the men's restroom like last year. Right. Okay.
No comment, David. I knew I saw you somewhere. I knew I met you somewhere.
That's problematic. But,
we'll talk about that offline. But yeah, so there's a lot of really exciting things. Everything from, you know, registering in the morning until the end of contributor day is going to be a fun and worthwhile event for sure. Yes,
it's fun, it's draining, exciting, all those emotions.
Yeah,
and I'm sure we'll find plenty of things Saturday to call after parties as well.
I'm sure we will. The individual, unofficial.
Well, you know, Friday nights are great. And I realize that, you know, scheduling is what it is. But there is so much happening at WordCamp US especially that it is difficult to talk to the people, even people that I know are coming. Oh, I'll see you there. Oh, let's grab lunch. half the people I never get a chance to talk to.
Yeah.
Mostly because they're hiding from me. But even so, even those people, even the people that I do bump into, it's like there's so much going on. You're listening, you're going to talks, you're just going back and forth between rooms. And now with all this other stuff that's going on, it's even going to be harder. So having kind of a networking event Friday night is fantastic. You can take that opportunity to meet up with the people and still be able to, you know, again, on Saturday, they're still going to be there at the conference where not everybody sticks around on Sunday like they should.
Right?
But, you know.
Last year was the first time I ever stayed for Contributor Day. And the reason prior to that was I didn't think that I had anything to offer at a Contributor Day.
See, if there was a community track the year before,
Yes.
that problem would have been solved.
And I tell everybody now, the Contributor Day is not for people who have high level development skills or developer skills. I sat at the table for marketing and we created content for the website. We created tweets. We did all kinds of really cool things. And it got me interested in being part of the team, the marketing team for WordPress.org. And so now I contribute on a regular basis for that. And I didn't think myself worthy prior to that. Now I feel like everybody is worthy and everybody should, if they want to, be part of that.
You're worthy, Michelle. That's
As are you.
Yes, thank you. I tell myself that every morning when I get up and look in the mirror. Lasts for about an hour, but it's worth it.
Do you remember Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live? When he would look in the mirror, he's like, and gosh darn it.
People like you.
That's right. And gosh darn it, people like you.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm working my way up that level.
There you
Just
go.
getting out of it. One has to get to the mirror first. Yeah.
Well, this is true. And I actually, I have a blog called The Daily Bedhead. If you want a really good laugh, you can look. I take a picture of my hair in the morning, the stylings of my pillow. And
yes, after I explain to my wife what I'm doing, yes, I will definitely do that.
It's only from the neck up. There's nothing risque on that site.
No, I mean, you know, it's like she already looks at me funny enough as it is. I don't need to add other things to the list.
But there's I have a blog post there on being short because I'm only 5 feet tall and how a lot of restaurants I'll walk into, I'll use the restroom and I can't see myself in the mirror. So sometimes looking in the mirror is challenging for more reasons than just not getting out of bed.
Wow. I wish I was shorter. Anyway, let's move on.
Moving on. So what are 2 or 3 must-have plugins?
I'm sorry?
2 or 3 must-have plugins that you would recommend to people who are building, starting out with WordPress or building their first site?
Oh, well, if you're starting, oof, boy, I mean, I think my boss would shoot me if I didn't say Environment Gallery. I'm not sure if you need that for your first photography website, maybe, or a first site that you just want to share images with. Fortunately, we have a Light and Pro version. Go check it out. Well, you know, generally speaking, I mean, you had 52 interviews prior to me, so I imagine a lot of them are pretty going to sound the same. And I'm trying to think of a different way, something different and interesting to present. And you know, my imagination dipstick right now is pretty low. Whenever somebody asks that question to me at a meetup, I usually like probably along the lines of because most people, if they are starting their first site, they have all these preconceived notions. And some of them are true, some of them are half true, and some of them are really, really false. So sometimes I say, you know, if you have a concern about security, for example, and WordPress is secure, but they're like, well, I'm going to install other plugins down the road, which I install first. And I'm like, if you just want to sleep easy at night, get a security plugin. And, you know, I use Security's plugin as a recommendation, but I'm told WordFence is pretty good too. But something generalized where if your site gets messed with, you have some sort of, you know, reassurance there in terms of like, hey, I'm being emailed because one of my files changed that shouldn't have. And a lot of these plugins have, like, you know, if somebody tries to, you can set it up so like, you know, when somebody's accessing your admin that shouldn't, like, I accessed the website 10 minutes ago. I didn't do that. But that would be one. And like I said, I think that's more for peace of mind, because I think we have not really had, like in my meetup group, nobody's gotten hacked in forever. But it does happen. So, and generally speaking, in addition to your WordPress host, it's nice to have a plugin around that at least attempts to let you know when things are a little bit weird. I think Yoast is probably, or Yoast or another SEO plugin is probably also a good idea if you're making your website public and you care about content. So those are probably, like I said, you've probably gotten these same suggestions a lot from people. So nothing new here really from a meetup standpoint. There are various form plugins and gallery plugins, but again, it's kind of like for every new website, there's only probably WordPress has gotten to a point where you probably only need so many kinds. And I think what some people don't think of though is probably plugins like Duplicate Post is a WordPress plugin that I don't think about, like just now. I didn't think about it until just now. It just popped into my head. It must be the caffeine. But it just surprised me the other day. It's like, why don't we have this in WordPress right now? Like just to click and clone just a post. And probably there's going to be somebody who says, well, actually, it's more complicated than you think, Dave, and here's why. But it's like little plugins like that where maybe not every beginner website, but more times than not, I'm searching for like little things like that solve those little itches in WordPress that nobody for right now seems to be scratching in core, because there's probably reasons.
With Give,
that's a good one.
Yeah. With Give, I work for Give. Right over there.
I thought you were flipping me off. Okay, great. Yes,
that was my pointer finger.
Now I see it. Right there.
When I started with Give, I would recommend Duplicate Post in order to clone your Give forms. But in the last year, we've actually added that to the Give core. So now you don't need an extra
I like
plugin.
That Give core.
Yeah.
That sounds like another name for the Avengers. Just really, really nice. But it's like
that kind of thing.
If you put that, that seems like a natural thing, right? Because you can't always guarantee like that Duplicate Post plugin will work on everything, right?
Right.
So, but there's exciting new APIs and stuff that are coming out that are being added in future versions of WordPress core. So sadly, I haven't heard of a duplicate function, but I'm glad to hear Give has it.
Yeah, it's exciting. It was very nice when it came out for us, because now we don't have to recommend additional plugins to do something that that we want to have do inherently.
Oh my God, support!
Right, exactly. When you started in WordPress or any point in your WordPress journey, have you had an official or unofficial mentor or somebody?
One second here. I'm
yeah.
Wait a minute. I'm having another voice in my head. I think. Hold on one second. Oh yes, that's funny. I got a YouTube video playing in a browser behind me, and I tapped this thing. It started playing it. Thanks, Apple. All right, rewind. Ask again.
At any point in your WordPress journey, have you had a mentor?
Oh, could be the voices in my head too. Could be that too. Mentor.
And who
in
was
my
it,
WordPress journey, let's see, mentor. Honestly, I can't think of one.
That's fine. Not everybody has.
I started with WordPress for 1.5. So from a WordPress standpoint, I had to teach myself pretty well. I mean, along the way, there have been various mentors that have come into my life for specific things. Like I think I consider Andrea Milton, for example, a mentor of sorts, helping me deal with some understanding various things about the community, how I should approach how some things organizing should be approached. But in terms of maybe long-term mentors, I consider my wife to be the mentor. I have learned and continue to learn, and she's not paying me to say this, and I don't know if she's around. I mean, somebody get my wife and tell her. Yes, but seriously though, your mentors sometimes are found in the places where you maybe not least expect it, but you don't think of people as mentors. My wife has been my life mentor. She's continuing to teach me the importance of patience, self-control, honesty. So maybe I'm lying right now, who knows? We'll see how good of a job she's doing. But and all of that is soft skills that apply to any community, especially the WordPress community. If you don't have patience and self-control and understanding how other cultures, because my wife is a different culture than me, how that plays into things, then you're not going to be able to communicate well with as large a community as the WordPress has. And we can see that, sadly enough, in communication issues, even honest ones. Sometimes you can see that, and we're hopefully getting better at communicating that, governing that to some extent. I'm hoping governance improves and sort of, and you know, there's some good signs starting with that in the community now. But to be able to understand culture, different cultures, and the way different people act and react to things, I think is very, very important in life. And therefore in WordPress and development is just as equally important. So I thank my wife for, I'm going to say, well, 15 years. Wait a minute. We have about carried the 16 years of marriage.
There you go. That's wonderful. Who is somebody that
16? What's that?
Who is somebody you admire in the WordPress community and why?
Okay, can't say wife. No, already used that one. Well, I mentioned a few people. Hard to put somebody on the spot. I admire so many people in so many different ways, and that's a really big cop out. So I'm going to go with someone. I'm going to say Jeff Chandler. As far as I'm concerned, he's in the WordPress community still, although he recently is no part of the Tavern. He has been a beacon of the WordPress community for as long as I can remember. I can't remember a time when he wasn't, and I was with WordPress 1.5 with the Tavern and the podcasts and all of that, but just the Tavern alone. He's been such a core part of the WordPress community and the experience of WordPress, period. Good or bad, whatever light, sometimes WP Tavern and the stories that get posted there come into being. You always knew Jeff was there. And I really hope he is still going to be, accessible to the WordPress community, involved in the WordPress community. If he's announced what he's doing next, I don't know what it is. Yeah, but he has never gotten, in my opinion, the due. Well, he's gotten respect, but he should be getting a lot more thank yous and praise for all the hard work that he's done over the years. Because I think without him, I think the WordPress community would be different and not in a good way. So I really want to give a shout out to him. I think he deserves a little bit of spotlight.
That's awesome. I love that. What's something you haven't learned in WordPress that you'd like to, but haven't tackled yet?
Communicating with others effectively. Okay, no soft skills. Well, from a developer standpoint, at least, just digging deeper into probably Gutenberg and React and all the heavy JavaScript stuff. I'm actually looking into. I'm in the process of doing that now, and learn JavaScript deeply. You can always go deeper until you hit rock bottom. Maybe, I don't know. That's a good analogy. But overall, JavaScript is something that I think you could probably spend 24/7 on it. Ignore your family, ignore your kids, and you would still be learning it. It's a never ending. From an overall standpoint, I think, backing away from particular technology, I think I still want to learn how to learn. Like I want to be able to learn better in terms of like what technologies are important. What should I be paying attention to? I think that's always in a never ending. Like I'm always going to be chasing after that car like a dog in terms of what? Well, you come up with a better analogy. Fine. But but it's like you're always going to have to learn something new. Almost all the fields, everything is changing, whether you're marketing, SEO, development, JavaScript, even in the community space, if you're an organizer or a volunteer, there's always something new coming along the ways. It never stops. So like, I want to be able to deal with that on a mental and a physical level, set expectations for myself, and also be able to make sure that I'm emotionally, mentally, and physically well. And I've had to, in the past couple of years, work on the physical aspect, and now I'm still working on the mental aspect. God knows how long that's going to take. But yeah, it's not to get too metaphysical or anything, but know thyself, right? So when it comes to that, I've got a long, strenuous experience there in terms of education. So
I don't think you're alone in that, though. I don't think you're alone in that. I think we all have some level of that for sure. At least if we're anywhere near self-enlightened, we do for sure.
My therapist says the same thing. So.
There you go. See, what's one of the biggest mistakes you've ever made with WordPress, and what did you learn from it?
Biggest mistakes I've learned with WordPress. That's a good question.
I asked the good ones.
Yeah, because I don't want to. It's hard to make a joke about this. I have brought down servers through stupid mistakes. I think every developer worth their grain of grain of salt? Worth their grain of salt? Worth their weight in salt?
Worth their salt?
Worth anything. This is where Google would come in handy. I think any developer any experienced developer has crashed some production or major problem, has had something blow up in their face at one time or another. If you haven't had something blow up in your face yet, it'll happen. And you just take it in stride. So I brought down production servers without backups or without reliable backups. I've done a whole bunch of things. Nothing immediately comes to mind though, in terms of, I've made some major mistakes. I think maybe again, it's part of like when I think about major mistakes, I think about the interactions I have with people, because servers, you can always bring back a website or rebuild a website, but it's very hard to be able to rebuild someone's trust, someone's respect. And I have been hot-headed in the past with, and although I don't have any obvious nemesis currently, jobs open there, but I do have people that I really wish I treated better, and that will, that continues to haunt me maybe sometimes. So, when it comes to mistakes, I think it's just probably, it has to deal with human interactions. Like maybe I could have worded this better, or I was too hot-headed. Maybe I shouldn't have been communicating with anybody that day. And I think ultimately, technology-wise, no matter how badly you can screw something up in code, it can always be. It's not, it's not the end of the world. This is probably precisely why I never want to code automatic cars or driverless vehicles, because you do have a bug, then yes, that could mean someone end up being seriously hurt. Yes. But we've pushed out a change on a plugin that has affected a lot of, like, probably tens of thousands of people. Unfortunately, in those instances, it's like, first of all, like, own up your mistake real quick and just find a way to resolve it, and then try to find a way to prevent that mistake from happening again, because you make whole new ones after that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, try not to beat yourself up about it, but that's what I'm still working on, is trying not to beat yourself too much about it.
That's a good thing, because everybody makes mistakes. Making the same mistake multiple times now, that's a little different, but yeah.
That's the great thing about being a programmer. You can make a very similar mistake in just all new ways.
That's right. That's why you have versioning.
Yeah, this is also why I have a secret apartment in the Caymans too, just in case.
Just in case. What's your proudest WordPress moment?
the 10th anniversary of WordCamp Miami, maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know. That was pretty monumental. Just the fact that we're getting to 10 years, Matt Mullen came. I think it was just a. Sorry, I'm getting choked up. No, seriously, call 911. So that, but my favorite I don't know if that counts. Does that
Sure it
count?
does. Yeah, it does.
I think work. I think the work that's being done to Enviro Gallery is really cool, because the fact that I'm able to work on something that over 100,000 people have downloaded and then paid for with the pro product and all that type of stuff, that's pretty cool too. Somebody thought, well, is your boss making you say that? I'm going, but my proudest WordPress moments, again, are always centered around people, all the great relationships that I've had from a technical standpoint. I've launched a lot of great sites. I think another proud moment would probably be me being included on the WordPress thank you page or credit page, because it's not as much as the development, but it's all the time and all the conferences and all the resources that have helped push there. I'm very proud of that. In terms of there's a communities within communities in WordPress. Give is community, WordPress is a community, and these communities don't get a lot of don't get a lot of visibility sometimes, unless you are part of that, unless you need the plugin or you're part of that particular subset of the community. But kids camps as well. I think every kids camp that I help or involved in, I'm also very proud of. Because, like I said, these people are the future, and I've seen people in kids camps, in the meetups that I help run. I've seen them go on to being WordPress contributors, speakers at WordCamp. Those are the proudest moments. And again, I guess it's it's not really technology as much as the people and the personal relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, like I said, you can build an awesome website with awesome technology. And then 2 years from now, it won't be so awesome because something else has come out that just is in people's minds. I built this with the REST API. Well, Gatsby is now doing this, or static websites for this. And it's like, you're always chased with development and coding and lots of other fields. You're always chasing that car. Yes, I used it again. That analogy again. Yes. But with people, it's like when you first see someone up on stage at a WordCamp US that came from your local meetup. There is nothing really to replace that exact feeling of pride and accomplishment that, hey, I was a part of that, and now they're going to go inspire other people, because, and we need more of that type of thinking, because that's how we get a more diverse culture and community, especially up on stage where everybody can see. Because that, let's say I have a part in a very small part in putting, say, a woman speaker on stage, a young woman speaker on stage, for example. Other young women in the audience now are inspired by that person, and it's kind of like a chain effect. And that to me is more important in the end, ultimately, than technology, even WordPress itself.
That's exciting. If you didn't work in web and web technologies and web design and WordPress, what's a different career that you might like to attempt?
Wouldn't be comedy. Definitely not that. Videography. Like, I was big into videos in high school. So I think, something still involved with computers, because that'll never be pulled out of me dramatically. It wasn't like I was secretly into something that was non-tech. I was never into like theater or anything enough to be a job. But I would think like videography, create, videos or something that would be behind the scenes from a technical standpoint, something along those lines. Fortunately, I haven't had to think about it much.
I had you pegged as the AV guy in high school, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Yes, I fit the stereotype to a T.
With pushing the big TV cart down the hall with the big old VHS player. Remember this? I'm older than you.
God,
so.
No, I still have VHSs in my closet next to my stacks of CDs.
I finally got rid of the Betamax though, because I had nothing left to play them on. So.
No, I'm right there with you, sister.
So, what's something on your bucket list?
Bucket list. I want to go to Alaska. I think that's the number one thing. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why Alaska. Maybe because it's cold. Maybe by the time I get to it, it's not going to be so cold. But I will. Yeah, that's the thing that I've always had on my bucket list for years now. So attending, if you want to bring it a little bit more close to WordPress related, I do want to go to a WordCamp outside of the North American hemisphere. No, it's not a hemisphere. North, whatever
North
hemisphere
America?
I'm in, whatever hemisphere I'm in,
Yeah.
outside of that,
Okay.
right? That's,
Yeah.
I think that would be on my bucket list too.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the top things. I travel a lot. I really don't travel a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I actually enjoy traveling. Not probably the actual traveling part, but at the end part when you're in a hotel room and you're like, oh, okay, now I can breathe. I like that part.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think those two things would be on top of
Nice.
my bucket list. And I've got a whole bunch of other professional things I want to get done, but projects. I bought domain names I want to build websites for, but those are, there's a difference between bucket lists and pipe dreams, right?
There you go. Absolutely.
So yeah, but yeah.
What's a secret hidden talent that you have that most people in the WordPress community might not know, and either show us or tell us about it?
Ending podcasts early, which apparently I failed on because we've been going on for a while. I have very little talent. I can't. That's a good one. I can't really think of anything. You'll probably have to ask my wife that. Fortunately,
Okay.
it's unavailable at this time. But you'll see her at WordCamp US, I'm sure.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe writing. Maybe I'll be better. Maybe someone will realize that I can write, which I can't. But maybe someone will just squint hard. I started something recently called mycamp.rocks. So I'm trying out my writing skills there. There's going to be hopefully some more surprises coming soon too. So hopefully, I'm hoping that my talent will be discovered will be more of in the writing standpoint or communication standpoint.
Very good.
In order to have people discover that, I need to have the talent in the first place. It's kind of like horse and wagon type of situation. So.
Or at least to do it. You have to actually do it. You can't just think about it too. So.
Yes, absolutely. I wish I had another talent. Believe me, it would. I would stop being called one-trick pony.
And then my last question.
This coffee cup has been empty for the last 20 minutes. I'm just pretending.
I still have a little bourbon. I can't drink it that fast or I'd be asleep.
That I can see. Yes, that is obvious. That is true. I'm sorry. There was one last question. Let me end your
last question.
With that. Mm-hmm.
I think early has shipped. We already missed that boat. How can we find you online? Social media, your website, etc.
Say my name 3 times, and yeah. Well, I'm at Dimension Media on Twitter. But mostly where I am everywhere else. I really don't do outside of Twitter. I really don't do a whole lot of social media. Like I don't do Facebook or Instagram or that type of stuff. I do have a Tumblr blog now, though.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it's davidbisset at tumblr.com, which I'm saying this now so that in 2 years I can rewind back to this and see what emotion I would be experiencing looking back on this. I also registered wordbadpress.tumblr.com. So
I think I saw that on Twitter. Did you tweet about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I had to insert the bad in there. So whatever I end up doing with it, which I have a plan for, the copyright people won't chase me. But besides Twitter and besides the Twitter and the Tumblr, those are the 2 ways to get a hold of me right now. I'm in WordPress Slack. You can reach me on WordPress Slack by David Bisset, and my blog davidbisset.com. And like I said, I'm also which would have any other references to get my GitHub accounts and all that other stuff if you're really interested in that. And like I said, My Camp Rocks is my current other side project. I'm also helping out with Post Status. If you are a member of Post Status, which is a great club for WordPress professionals, I would suggest you check them out. Brian Crosgard does an excellent job leading that, and he comes up with some really great content and takes on the WordPress community. So definitely check out Post Status, and I'm on their Slack as well. So, so that's where the places where I spend my time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking part of your Saturday to be with me today, David. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I do have to eventually throw, some meat in the room where the kids are on the floor and let them fight over it. But it was certainly glad, or I should say nice, glad, whatever emotion, able to speak with you. And thanks for accommodating me on a Saturday.
Oh, and my pleasure.
Really. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person.
Yes, me too. As am I.
And I really think WordCamp US is going to be a blast. And I'm really hoping that tickets are, now that the schedule is out and everything for WordCamp US, now people can make that final decision. Go get those tickets. And if you volunteer, your ticket is free.
That's right.
And you get to meet some great people behind the scenes, not like me. Let's not use me as an example. I think WordCamp organizers, people become WordCamp organizers just so they can avoid the crowds. I think that's a really great trick that nobody seems to realize sometimes. Like if you're an introvert, sometimes being an introvert, it's like, if you end up being an organizer, you still have to talk to people, but it's less people. And when you walk through a crowd, it's like, I'm an organizer, I can't really talk right now. And
I'm on a mission.
Yes, I'm on a mission. And then, you're cuddled in the fetal position in some room somewhere going, I don't want to talk to anybody right now. But yes, it'll be fun at WordCamp US. And like I said, be a volunteer. Don't, don't avoid talking to people there, because that's an excellent opportunity if you can help it. But it's going to be so much different and so unique this year versus past years that I think it's well worth it to be able to try to come if you can. And I'm speaking to your audience, because we're going to be there. We have to be there. Yeah, I know.
Technically, we don't have to. We're strongly encouraged.
Oh, really? I was not told this. Okay, well, then I'm going to have a word with some of the organizers.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. Say goodbye to your adoring audience, David, and we'll catch you on Slack.
All two adoring audiences of mine. Wow. Bye.
Bye.